This is chapter 27, section 6. The first part of the reading was titled TR, Brandisher of the Big Stick. Obviously, TR is short for Theodore Roosevelt, who is pictured there. And we've mentioned Theodore Roosevelt already with his involvement in the Spanish-American War. And he's really is a big figure in 1900s American history. And what he does as president and kind of the path he puts the United States on dictates a lot of what the rest of the century, and you can even make connections into today, look like. So as just kind of a refresher, McKinley, who was elected in 1900 with Roosevelt as his running mate, dies 6 months into his first term. And so Vice President Roosevelt ascends to the presidency at the age of 42. And at that point in time, he is the youngest president ever. And his foreign policy is dictated by the motto, speak softly and carry a big stick. And that actually, I guess, goes beyond his foreign policy, just kind of his life motto to a certain degree. Your textbook does a really good job of painting a picture of Roosevelt and his personality. He is not quiet in any way. Your textbook says something along the lines of he is the bride at every wedding, the body at every funeral, something like that. Basically, he is the center of attention when he walks into a room. Also in your book that talks about how a reporter said that when you get home after meeting Roosevelt, you have to wring him out of your clothes. Just basically, he's that much of a big personality and a presence when he enters the room. He was very much a believer in the idea that a president's job was to lead and have everyone else follow, and he very much did that. So he was, I'm going in this direction, you follow me. And he is considered the first modern president. And your textbook also talks about just his physical features, and you can see some of those displayed there. Political cartoons enjoyed him for these reasons. And I cannot switch slides. Here we go. So that was the first section, relatively brief, just background on Roosevelt himself. The second section, and what the bulk of the focus is the building of the Panama Canal, which Roosevelt was an integral part of. So America had identified, and we've even talked about this in previous lessons, the need for a canal across Central America. And if we were in the classroom, we'd point out at the map, and you guys have probably noticed this since elementary school, how there is a thin piece of land, and it would make sense and make the travel much shorter if you could just cut across Central America. And so the United States wanted to do that for a couple of reasons. One, it was boost business in Latin America, and the United States would benefit from that. It would also make our military, specifically our Navy, stronger because of it would allow us a lot of mobility. And your textbook points out how that was problematic when we were trying to move a ship from the Pacific coast to Cuba. But now, especially when we've got control of the Philippines, Guam, Puerto Rico, you have these different territories, this empire for the United States. The mobility on the water is going to be important. But there are barriers to the United States building this canal. The first is a treaty that was actually signed between the United States and Great Britain in 1850 that specifically said the U.S. could not control an Isthmian route alone. Isthmus, that word there is I've taught 7th grade geography, so it's a 7th grade geography word, but it is a narrow piece of land connecting two larger pieces of land. And so the Clayton-Bulwer Treaty said that the United States could not control that alone. And to fix that, the United States got Britain to agree to the John Hay, Ponce-Boat Treaty. And so when you see these treaty names, they are often tied to the people who either helped write them, establish them, whatever. And so we see John Hay appear again there. But the Hay-Ponce-Boat Treaty in 1901 basically said the United States could do this on their own. And in large part, the British were willing to sign this because they had other stuff going on and didn't want to deal with it in the United States. So once that hurdle is out of the way, the next obstacle is determining where this canal should be. And the first choice is actually Nicaragua. And there's some movement made towards that. The second choice is the Panama Canal, which is ultimately, or sorry, Panama, which is ultimately decided is what is chosen because of a previous attempt at a canal building by the French. So a French company led by Philippe Bonet-Varia had failed at their attempt about 15, 20 years earlier to build a canal. They actually controlled the land. They had materials already there for a canal building. They just couldn't do it. And so they were willing to sell it to the United States. The original asking price is $109 million, but for this one-time sale, they'll sell it for $40 million. And U.S. Congress says, all right, that's a good price. We will do this. The problem is that Panama is not an independent nation. It is controlled by Colombia. And so the Colombians have to approve of this for it to happen, which they do not willingly do. And so the first steps is Roosevelt attempts diplomatic means. He tries to lease the land, but the Colombian Senate rejects that deal. And then Felipe, the person who stands to benefit from this $40 million sale, assist in inciting a riot that turns into a revolution on November 3rd of 1901. It just so happens that U.S. ships are offshore and they prevent the Colombians from coming in and suppressing the revolution, and thus the Panamanian Revolution is successful. The video you're going to watch this week that correlates to this, and you've hopefully already started this video by this point, but it outlines this with more detail on this whole canal building process, because it is really a 10, 12 year from this time period, 1901, until it's actually built. I guess 1914 is when it officially opened. So it's a 13-year process for this whole canal building, and the video details that very well. It's a long video, and I'll talk about that in class. But anyway, so very quickly after the revolution takes place, Theodore Roosevelt recognizes Panama as free and independent. That is unusual. Typically, there's kind of a waiting period to see before a country is officially recognized. Not here, because Roosevelt wants to recognize it. And so he recognizes Panama as independent, and the Hay-Bonet-Varia Treaty is signed. And what it says is the United States is able to lease the Panama Canal Zone at the one-time expense of $10 million and at a cost of $250,000 a year for this 10-mile wide canal zone. This action by Roosevelt, by recognizing Panama so quickly and maybe supporting the revolutionaries to some degree, is the start of what will become multiple instances of bad relations that Roosevelt kind of bullies his way through getting what he wants in Latin America. So we'll see more instances of that as we go. So construction of the canal begins in 1904, and it's a mess. We very quickly see why other attempts at building a canal of this size were unsuccessful. And again, the video details this well. Colonel William Gorgas helps overcome one of the obstacles, which is disease. And we skipped, I provided it in the extension activities, but we skipped a video over the Spanish-American War where Gorgas helped eradicate mosquitoes. He does the same in yellow fever. He does this in Panama as well. So really, the workforce was dying off in large numbers because of yellow fever and malaria and typhoid and things like that. And so Gorgas figures out a means to eradicate those mosquitoes. And that helps the workforce because they're alive and they can actually continue to build the canal. You also have the problems of the size of the project. You've got several different engineers who are brought in, but ultimately the one who is successful with it is Colonel George Goethals, and he engineers the task. It's completed in 1914 at a cost of $400 million. And again, that's $400 million in 1914 dollars. All of this is detailed in the video with a lot more. It's a good video. So make sure you watch it, please.